Hi guys, sales training today is going to be focused more on energy probably than anything else. Richard was just telling me on the positive news how there's national headlines, literally are, about housing prices and existing home prices. Inflation is completely out of whack and worry that interest rates are going to go up to try to get them in line. I don't really think it's going to happen right now with all the other stuff going, but that's irrelevant. Because the problem is this, there's more need for new homes than new homes existing. Now, I know one of the biggest problems nobody addresses and I can't do anything about is there's not enough developments. They spent 6 years shutting down development loans. All the developments got full. There's no developments. It's hard to find land. Huge plus for our world. That means people are buying acreages a little ways out in the country and building, welcome to my paradise. Oh, my beautiful client of mine. So that is a very good thing. So now we start to get down to why don't we sell? Why don't we sell? I think there is more than anything else in the world, and for those of you this makes angry, I've taught this 1,000,000 times. I'm probably going to teach it 1,000,000 more. It's want to. It's want to. Do you want to? Folks look at me and they go, all right, so I got two guys. I give them both 40 leads. Why does one get 6 contracts and one gets 0? It's want to. And if you're the guy that only got 2, you might as well call it 0. It's want to, dude. It's want to. Now, I want to focus on a little bit different path for a moment. What stops want to? Insecurity, and fear. And fear is usually based off of insecurity. Main thing, in my opinion, that stops want to is actually insecurity and fear. You step up to the plate. You step up to the game. If you don't really know what you're doing, if you're actually afraid, if you're insecure about being able to do it, you know what you start doing? Protect, cover, baby. What's my I'm watching my daughter. I'm watching my beautiful, wonderful, incredible, smartest of all my kids, youngest child. Just into freshman year yesterday. She's become an ass. And have you ever had a teenager go through the hormonal ass run? But I know why. I know why. Because she doesn't know who she is right now. She doesn't know her place. She's insecure. She's feeling a little lost. Yes, her hormones are jumping around and everything else. But she is so afraid to commit. There's these 5, 10, 55 million options out there. But the greatest fear at this stage, you want to know what the greatest fear of that stage is? Is to F up. I would rather be the dumpy loser in the corner talking shit about you than be the superhero Clark Kent that stepped out, tripped, and fell on his face and is being made fun of by the others. Because at that age, they ain't got nothing else to do. Nobody's got a car yet. They're all hanging out. They've all learned to be snarky, and they're starting to learn that it's easier to pull somebody down off the mountain than it is to climb past them. So it's the old, are you going to elevate yourself or are you going to pull people down below you? You know what we all learned at 14? We love that guy that gives that speech. There's nothing better than that preacher. And it's, you must, and we're all sitting in the back going, that's freaking awesome, man. I can't wait till you walk outside because you're going to be so easy to pull down below me. Because we all know it's much easier to stop, God dang, but you son of a, keeping them below you than it is to go past them. Especially because it's not like they go, well, when you step on the mountain, it's an unobstructed. Hell no. Guy up there is kicking, trying to put the one down, pulling on you, and it's tough. It's a lot rarer to be one of the defensive people, get your arms sucked in and start keeping people from going by you than it is to take the risk and go up, or they're pulling and kicking and everything else. Totally get it. Scares the hell out of you. Better to fail for somebody else's fault. Most people would rather fail every single time, as long as it is always somebody else's fault, than succeed half the time, but whenever they fail, it's obviously on them, on their shoulders, and they have to own it. Who are your very best salespeople? Who are your very best managers? In this world that we live in, your very best franchisees, they tend to have one trait. They own their shit. They own theirs. When they're screwed up, they reach out to somebody and go, man, I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. Turn the mirror on me. Show me where my pimples are. When they pooch, they call and say, I pooched, man. My bad. They're the ones, I mean, as simple as this. They're the ones as simple as this that call and say, dude, I'm not going to hit royalties. I'm going to be late. Just giving you a heads up. Not forgive me my royalties. Not, oh, don't know. It's just giving you a heads up. Versus the, well, I didn't collect it, and so I'm not going to call back for 6 months because, no. They let know. They always own their shit. They take everything. Who was the old president that was famous for putting the thing on his desk that said the buck stops here? I always wondered why that was such a big deal. But it was. How sad. Because of this is why that was a big deal. So when you get in, just as with my daughter, I don't want to risk, I don't want to commit, I don't want it to be my fault. Accept that it is okay to get your ass kicked as long as you gave it your best. Accept that the guy that owns his own stuff, sorry Richard, owns his own stuff and fails half the time is a far superior human being to the point he's already at the top of the mountain and he's the only one even climbing the mountain he's on. Far superior being to the guy that succeeds 80% of the time but never is willing to accept blame. You gotta own your own stuff. Because you know what you do when you do that? You start to erase this, because it's not just courage in that. Your insecurity and your fear comes from lack of knowledge. You don't have the knowledge because if you have the knowledge, it might be your fault. So once you start accepting, all right, it's on me. It's on me. This is mine. I own this. And by the way, nobody else can put it on you. It's been tried. It's been done. Ask every coach that has ever failed in coaching. You cannot put it on them. They have to take it on themselves. I have seen coaches succeed that didn't know their head from a cleat, but they had kids that owned it all. So everything they said was done, and it worked for the commitment, the attitude, the mentality. And I've seen others that were great, that are huge successes one year and terrible the next, because they got that weird group of princesses that don't succeed. Everybody wants to talk about Greg Popovich down in San Antonio being such an incredible coach. No, he's not. He's just been phenomenal at only being willing to have players that take ownership. Which, by the way, yes, it does. It makes him a great coach. Makes him a brilliant one. The fact that his owners give him that gift is incredible. You ever see him get that great player, that superstar player? Remember Dennis Rodman? That ain't that type? God, that person hated being there. And he got rid of him as fast as he could. Didn't matter the cost. Tim Duncan, one of the greatest players of all time. You ever seen a guy that took on ownership of his role more and respect that goes with it? And yet, strangely enough, would he have been as great somewhere else? I don't know. Side, I got too far off. Once you take the ownership, something magical happens. And you start to obsess over knowledge. You start to obsess over improvement. You start saying, man, it's on me. If I'm going to do this, I don't want to fail. The insecurity works in the different direction. It's like, if I'm going to get kicked and mocked and made fun of, I'd a lot rather it be 1 out of 20 times versus 10 out of 20. How do I do that? I got to learn more. I got to get better. And you start focusing, you start paying attention, because it stops being about not failing and it starts being about winning. I remember a coach we had, I think his name was Gary Gibbs at the University of Oklahoma. He replaced Switzer. Gary Gibbs lost his job. Many years later, we had such a bad string of coaches. It was like, God, don't you wish we had Gary Gibbs winning 8 games a year again? But Gary Gibbs had a massive flaw. He won all the games that didn't matter, and he lost all the games that did. And here's why. Gary Gibbs was a brilliant defensive coach, and he always played to not lose, but he never played to win. Not lose wins the games you're supposed to win. It loses the head-to-heads. I remember for something like 4 straight years, he brought a better team, far and away, dominantly, end-of-year record every single time, better team than Texas to the OU-Texas game. And he lost every year. And it was close. But the Texas team came out the underdog and let it fly. They played to win. He played conservative and he played to not lose. When you take ownership of your stuff, you start playing to win. When you start playing to win, you start learning. As you learn, you stop being, where did I lose my little eraser? You stop being afraid. And as you learn, you stop being insecure. And then the only thing that gets in your way is you start getting cocky, but that's the next growth phase, and it's a heck of a great growth phase. Give me the cocky player that's falling for that. He's an easy fix. But the guy playing to not lose, I'm going to be honest with you, dudes, I haven't figured out how to fix him yet. All I can do is give speeches like this, hope it gets through his or her head, hope that they want to and they learn, because it's about want to. And the want to comes from who owns you. Are you a winner or are you a not loser? This stuff's always important to me. I know it will be to a couple of y'all. I know some of the rest of you are angry you watched it. But I appreciate your time very much. Bless you and have a wonderful day.